it feels like whilst the rest of the world is kind of like trying to reduce and get to net zero, we in IT are making it worse by that. That amount of e-waste every year has only been going one way, hasn't it, for a number of years? It's only going up. So this is really the point, is perhaps we need to move away from consuming new technology and finding ways of extending life cycles, and so on, which I would hope for our audience, after all, what we do is the asset life cycle in ITAM, means that there's an opportunity here for us as ITAM managers to directly address that problem of buying new devices when perhaps we don't need to. I'm wondering what kind of things do we need to know to be able to do that, to extend the life of our existing technologies?
And I'd like to make a point on the the data privacy side, AJ, because we see a lot of organizations whose knee-jerk reaction to ensuring data privacy on these devices is to shred the hard drive or degauss the hard drive, because they perceive that as the most secure method of data destruction. And actually, there is very reliable software that can be used to overwrite the devices, overwrite the data. And what the real advantage of that is that it preserves the asset so that it can be redeployed, reused, as opposed to just shredded and recycled. So that's a much greener solution, and it achieves the same end. The data is purged, it's overwritten, and typically when you use one of these software programs, you get an auditable report at the end that indicates that the purge, the sanitization was successful. And if it wasn't, you can shred the drive then. But I think that the focus should be more on sort of trying to preserve the asset so that it could be redeployed somewhere else.
I think the first thing that companies need to be looking at is what is sustainable in the near term, the next 1 or 2 years, versus what is sustainable in the long term, which is anywhere up to 5 years and 6, right? Now, in this roadmap, that is what defines the business goals and objectives for every organization. And in this process, what companies need to be doing is, organizations need to look at what are equipment, materials that are sustainable in the near future, because natural resources across the planet are not infinitely available. There is a limited amount of natural resources available. So when it comes to hardware, when it comes to software, and when it comes to all other equipment are concerned, organizations need to look at sustainability from in terms of what is a necessity versus what is a need, right? And that is what determines, is this essential, is this critical to buy, is this what I need to have in order to run my business for the next 3 to 5 years? Does that help in my business growth? Does that help in my overall roadmap?
Again, going back to using the same sort of service that we use to kind of look at the overall energy rating of servers, we've had a number of customers now when we've looked at it, they've got a couple of pretty old servers in there, maybe coming out at D's, E's and F's, really not performing well. And the easiest thing to do there is consolidation. Just remove them. Often there's capacity elsewhere within the system, so those jobs can be moved out elsewhere. You can then remove them and go through, obviously, may not be suitable for refurbishment, but you can kind of look at the whole sort of ITAD side of it. You're also kind of reducing cost in terms of, obviously overall energy usage. You're saving on servicing, you're saving on kind of licensing, you're saving on supporting those items as well. So that's a really good example, and it's one that we see regularly. Even with fairly small estates, they've just got one and it's been churning away in the corner for however many years. Just remove it and look at how you can kind of get that work done elsewhere. And it's amazing when you sort of break it down, and you start to think about that sort of thing. I think that's a perfect example. Okay, you know, maybe a couple of hours work to do that, but you know, that's about it. And you're making ongoing savings as well, because obviously that inefficiency that you've removed is something that you will keep on sort of reaping the benefits from moving forward.